first marine refuge within the Northern Shelf Bioregion. Today at the 5th International Marine Protected Areas Congress IMPAC-5, the Honorable Joyce Murray, Minister of Fisheries, Oceans and the Canadian Coast Guard, Chief John Powell, Winidi, of the Mamalilikula First Nation, and the Honorable Nathan Cullen, BC Minister of Water, Land, and Resource Stewardship announced fisheries closures and the establishment of a marine refuge, to help protect the ecologically and culturally significant area of Gwaxtalalat-Nalaidalala in Knight Inlet on the coast of British Columbia. As stewards of the longest coastline in the world, it is our shared responsibility to keep our oceans healthy for generations to come. Working in close collaboration with provincial and territorial governments, Indigenous communities, and industry, the Government of Canada is protecting important marine habitats, species, and ecosystems. These protections are critical to protecting global biodiversity, mitigating impacts due to climate change, and advancing our goal of conserving 25% of Canada's oceans by 2025, and 30% by 2030. Marine refuges are intended to be long-term in nature to help protect important species and habitats. All commercial, recreational, food, social, and ceremonial (FSC) fisheries will be closed within the area to prevent impacts from human activity and to ensure full protection of the marine environment. In consultation with the Mamalilikula First Nation and the Province of British Columbia, Gwaxtalalat-Nalaidalala, also known as Lull Bay and Hoya Sound, was identified as an important area that includes a globally unique ecosystem of fragile and slow-growing corals and sponges that provide habitat for more than 240 marine species. Only by working together at all levels can we achieve Canada's marine conservation targets to protect 25% of Canada's oceans by 2025. It is also identified as an area of high cultural significance by the Mamalilikula First Nation. Gwaxtalalat-Nalaidalala is the first marine refuge to be recognized through the Northern Shelf Bioregion Marine Protected Area (MPA) network planning process, and it represents years of work between Canada, the Province of British Columbia, and the Mamalilikula First Nation. The Honorable Joyce Murray, Minister of Fisheries, Oceans, and the Canadian Coast Guard said, "The Government of Canada is committed to conserving and protecting Canada's marine ecosystems for future generations, advancing reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, and supporting sustainable fisheries management." The Honorable Nathan Cullen, BC Minister of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship added, "I congratulate the Mamalilikula First Nation for the stewardship of their coastal waters and protection of its rare shallow coral gardens and sponges. The creation of a marine refuge in the Knight Inlet will allow the land and waters to heal and recover from cumulative impacts. The management of our natural resources is one of the province's core responsibilities, and agreements such as this one advance reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, safeguard environmental sustainability, and generate economic prosperity in BC." Chief Councillor Winidi, John Powell, Mamalilikula First Nation added, "Our nation's 2021 Indigenous Protected and Conserved Area Declaration invited Canada and British Columbia to work with us on urgent protection of the sensitive corals and sponges in Gwaxtalalat-Nalaidalala, and to begin discussions on collaborative management to incorporate our ancient laws and practices. We offered collaboration to advance this site as a contribution to Canada's conservation targets and to demonstrate a commitment to reconciliation. This important decision on Gwaxtalalat-Nalaidalala demonstrates the power of working together to achieve shared objectives. We look forward to continuing this collaborative effort between Canada, British Columbia, and Mamalilikula First Nation." Chief Councillor Winidi, John Powell, Mamalilikula First Nation. This dedication is part of IMPAC-5 in Vancouver, the 5th International Marine Protected Areas Congress. At IMPAC-5 the world is coming together and taking a stand to protect the global ocean. IMPAC-5 is taking place from February 3 to 9 in Vancouver. They learn, share and chart a course toward protecting 30% of the global ocean by 2030. The IMPAC-5 High-Level Segment, the Leadership Forum on February 9, has invited international ministers and decision-makers to chart a course towards achieving the marine conservation targets negotiated as part of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Goals. Clarification. The Gwaxtalalat-Nalaidalala (Lull, Hoya) site is located in Knight Inlet, a fjord in BC's Northern Shelf Bioregion (NSB), at the north end of Johnston Strait and east of Port McNeill. The site measures 21.2 square kilometers and contains unique and highly valuable features that support ecological and cultural priorities for the Northern Shelf Bioregion. Hoya Sound is a Mamalilikula clan place of origin, that was historically used for village sites, hunting, fishing and trapping purposes, and contains important shoreline and sub-tidal archaeological sites. The Northern Shelf Bioregion Network Action Plan (NAP) identifies ecological and cultural conservation objectives for the Guaxtalalat-Nalaidalala site that support the broader network goal to protect and maintain marine biodiversity, ecological representation and special natural features. The marine refuge at the Guaxtalalat-Nalaidalala Hoya site will ensure full protection of the marine environment. Marine refuges are area-based fisheries closures under the Federal Fisheries Act that contribute to the conservation of biodiversity over the long term. Marine refuges qualify as other effective area-based conservation measures OECMs, under Canada's newly announced 2022 OECM guidance and support Canada's marine conservation targets. On November 29, 2021, the Mamalilikula First Nation publicly announced Guaxtalalat-Nalaidalala, Lull Bay and Hoya Sound, and the adjacent Lull and Hoya watersheds as an Indigenous Protected and Conserved Area (IPCA), which is an Indigenous-led conservation initiative that reflects the objectives and needs of the Mamalilikula First Nation. The Mamalilikula's IPCA marine and watershed management plans have been used to develop a joint plan with provincial ministries that will ensure comprehensive conservation beyond the marine refuge to the entire area included within the IPCA. The Province of British Columbia, Ministry of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship, and the Ministry of Forests, are developing land-based designations that will reinforce its joint planning with Mamalilikula.